Hello, most beautiful souls. It is with joy and pleasure that we greet you today. And we hope and ask that you can feel the same joy and pleasure of connection. So please take a moment to just relax, tune into your sacred higher self, and let these words wash over you. The real joy, of course, is connecting with your sacred self. Anything we say is just in the mix of the soup of your consciousness. And so we ask that you let that soup be the most flavorful, delicious, relaxing, and uplifting place you can be. Because this truly is your birthright. This truly is how humanity was meant to live. And as we move into the golden age, this is what you will be experiencing. So start now with just a little bit of relief. Channel Peter is apprehensive at this moment because this is the first of his blogs where he's recorded without knowing what we were going to say in advance. He always had to tap in, connect, and get a message, and then let it come through. Now he's moving into a new place of trust, and he's finding apprehension in taking this step. And that is indeed what we wish to speak with you about today. How is it that you choose to act when you're in the unknown? How is it that you choose to proceed or not proceed when you're uncertain of where you're going? The biggest question, of course, is do you trust in your own sacred self? Spirit, God is there to guide you. It's not an easy thing to do. We can speak about it at end, but really it's something you have to experience through doing. Trust in Source. It's really funny. That slogan is written on your money in many places. In God we trust. And it's so funny that it's written on money because why would you write it there? Is it really God you're trusting or the money? We have to have that external thing, you know. You really are okay. You really are going to make it. It doesn't seem like that, but if you have enough consciousness to attend to these messages, and I know that sounds like it's being discriminatory, but it's really not. It's a statement of fact. Does your consciousness rise up to the place where you see that you are in connection with Source? And when you do that, of course, you're taken care of as much as you choose to allow. So, of course, you will be safe. So, for those of you who are still practicing fear, oh my God, things are going on in the world and I don't like it, this group and that group. Can you take those fears as they come up and take a breath and go, oh, what about Source? Where's Source in all this? Of course, when we were children, we'd sit there and say, how could God let these things go on, these injustices? And we would blame God and go crawl in the corner and cry. I did that. Or the channel Peter did that. We sat with him when he did, of course. But now you're at a more adult level of consciousness. And part of that is understanding that it's not God out there externally doing things to you or for you. It is God within you and your source and your connection that's expressing. And really, as you see that, then of course you go into places of sadness because you see, oh my God, I am contributing to the creation of all this around me that is not so uplifting and satisfying. It's easy to go into shame and blame, of course. Oh, I did this and I'm a bad person. And if you go into that, then you have to process that cycle as well. But it's very easy. We've been saying all along, it's just a matter of, process, process, process. Feel your feeling, let it go. So if you go into that cycle and you feel it, it just gives you more work to process, which is fine because it meant you were holding it and needed to be moved out so the planet can uplift. That's really all this mirror process is. People call it shadow work, but really it's mirror work because you're not looking at what's dark. You're looking at what you labeled as dark and put away and stuffed away where you wouldn't see it. And now the energies are so strong that we are seeing it in our face everywhere we look. And of course, there are negative entities still on the planet that are trying to create these situations, and they're there to show you what's being created. And these negative entities are not bad, evil apart from you. These negative entities are aspects of God as well and playing their role. And you have a connection to them in that you're decided at a deep level to be on the planet at this time to experience these kinds of energies so they can be completed and relieved, and we can have paradise on the planet. So it's not some bad, evil people doing it. It's another aspect of our source, ourselves that are doing it. And that's what it really means to look inside or outside around you. The mirror is there. That is the work that is being asked to be done now. A couple things to take in mind. One is please, please, please do not go into the blame game. Given your state of consciousness, there's nothing else you could have done. And those who are performing deeds outside you that are negative, given their state of consciousness, there's nothing else they could have done. You've spent a lifetime on the planet experiencing being in opposition and fighting for what's right, asking for justice, pleading for better laws and accountability. And you see pretty much where that's got you. Maybe a little bit of gain here for a little while. It's then overturned in the next manufactured revolution or war. And that's been a long, desperate cycle. It's easy to say, oh, that's human nature. But really, that is just what the energies were. And that is where we were. And so by seeing it for what it is, given our state of consciousness, we could do nothing else. Given the energies we were in, it is a miracle we even made progress, had desires to be more. Those of you who can remember this, especially in your other lives, you're heroes. You're the ones who went into the dark places, the heavy energy places. Those of you who are afraid to act now because you've been persecuted or tortured or killed in other lives for stepping out with your power, you are the bravest of all. And now is the time to let go of those fears. Just as the channel Peter is letting go of the fear of speaking without knowing what he's going to speak about, because he's truly at this moment trusting source, which we are asking you to do. Truly at this moment, trust your source. Go within. Don't pay attention to this message as if it is your guide. Pay attention to this message as if it is just a nudge. Say, hey, look over there. That might be something you like. The deeper level, beyond not blaming yourself or others for what's going on, instead rejoicing, oh my God, we're in a mess and we're going to clean this up. The deeper level we wish to talk about is that this is an initiation. This is not so much a test, although in duality and in English language, it is hard to explain it otherwise. This is the step one takes to become the next level of source, expressing in physicality. It is your initiation to say, I'm done with the 3D playing in those realms and moving into the more 5D realms, the expansive, inclusive realms. So it's a real test of initiation. What are you willing to let go on? Just yesterday, the channel Peter was all excited about this fabulous deal to go take a cruise on a riverboat in Europe, which he's been dreaming about for a while. He was so excited until he read the fine print and realized one would have to be vaccinated to be on that cruise. Now, he could have just been sad and let it go. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Could have been angry. Oh, I'm not going to do that. But he understood this is an initiation test. No, I'm not going to go anywhere or do anything that violates my sovereignty. And I know that Source is going to provide for me. This is what the channel Peter decided. And so now it may not look like it is expressed as a cruise, but that doesn't mean that source is in there going, nah, 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 you missed out. You, the ascetic, you have to do without this, and therefore you can ascend. No, it's not like that at all. It's understanding, okay, this is not the opportunity that's going to give me the joy I think. I'm going to be sovereign in this opportunity, and therefore I know more, better joy will come to me, whether that looks like it's a cruise or not. So that's what the channel Peter finally came to the understanding of. And we'd like you to look at that on so many deep levels. Are you in opposition to anyone or anything? Are the bad people making you respond? Maybe that's an initiation area that you can let go of. Are you feeling impressed or depressed or pressed upon by the external forces that do not have your best interest in mind? Again, this is an initiation. And how does one get through it? You just don't use willpower because it leaves you whistling in the dark, trying to pretend you're not scared or feeling hurt. The way through it is through it. You're going into it, diving as deeply as you can into whatever's causing you the distress, allowing it with love, asking it to be with you. Express fully, hold it, love it. And then when it burns out, because any emotion fully expressed will pass, it will burn out. Then when it does, that is your time to replace what was there with the love you would rather see. And then you'll lose the impetus to take action. But it means taking that first step on your own of putting down your sword. It's asking a lot because there's so much in opposition to. But I worry about my child. They're going down this wrong path. They're going to be harmed. Yes, that's a valid, true thing. And then you have to ask, what is it in you that is problematic about this other person taking the action? But they're my child. I love them. They'll be hurt. What is it in you? Is it a feeling that you are not safe? That you are not loved? Is it a feeling that you are not internal? Therefore, excuse me, you are not eternal? Therefore, they are not eternal? And this is not an opportunity for their soul to live and learn? Now it's like, what? I'm going to let my child die? No, we're not saying that. You're going to let your child make its choices so that they can learn. And what will happen is as you drop your opposition, there will be less pressure on them to be in opposition to you because the opposition energy is no longer in the connection. And they will be able to make better choices. I know that logic is not intuitive and it sounds backwards, but it is indeed how it will work by looking at what it is in you that is being caused pain by this other person's action. Now, of course, if they're directly threatening you with a knife or a gun or brutality, then that's different. You take an action right there. But if their actions are only their actions, oh, I'm worried about the economy. Well, is there still food on your table? Do you still have a warm place to sleep? So then what are you worried about? What is it in you? And that's where the deep dives need to take place. And that's where we're all headed. Many of you who listen to these messages regularly are already on this path. And part of the message we give today is to encourage you to demonstrate how this is done to others so that they can quickly uplift. It's not going to be like it was, where it was so dense and so hard for one person to make progress and then for a big change to happen across society. It's much quicker now. Any amount of clearing you do is magnified and amplified and helps so many other people who are just lighter and easier. In reality, they switch into different realities where they're no longer who they were because you're no longer holding the energy anchoring them there. So to you, they appear completely different. It will appear as if you flipped a timeline and they're not who they were. And isn't that what you want? But to get to where people are satisfying to who you are, you have to accept them where they're at, understanding their beautiful aspects of God, and they are acting to the best level of their consciousness and loving them for it, just like you would love a child for it, even if you know fully it is a mistake. And then as you find the resistance of judgment that this is a mistake rather than this is a beautiful expression of growth, that is where you go inside. That is where you look at your resistance. Why is this affecting me? And then clear as you can. So that is our message today. If you're afraid about doing something new, good. It's your initiation. If it's time for you to really receive what you've been asking for, then that means you need to surrender to what you've been fighting. What a backwards formulation for the English language. Surrender to win. We know that you've already passed your marker. You're on your way to ascension, whether it be slow or quickly. Those of you listening to this message already have that. But there's going to be a small percentage that this is going to be inspiration too, because you'll have to look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I have been in opposition so much, so long about everything. It's time to let that go. Mostly we're sending you this message because we know that those of you listening are going to be the teachers for others. You're going to have this conversation. I heard this crazy guy talking, and he said it was spirit talking through him. And he was saying that our way to win the fight is to embrace what we see on the other side as a mirror of what we want to clear inside ourselves. Who can think of such a thing? And yet that is what we're asking you to think about. Ponder it, savor its deliciousness, and then when you're ready, you can share it and teach others. Many blessings to you as you experience your freedom.